Interstate 4. I've driven that road to work for years now. I loved driving it. I enjoy getting into my car, driving to work, rocking out to my music, and seemingly getting to work in no time flat. All of that's changed now since Interstate 4 started the Ultimate Project. Now the roads are jammed. Coming into and leaving work, it's just stop and go traffic. Everyone's frustrated, and it's just not fun anymore. That's why I take alternative transportation. Its proven track record of relieving symptoms such as sitting in traffic and road rage leaves me feeling relaxed and ready for the workday. And with Huey Avenue being closed for a full 18 months, it's important that you also consider alternative transportation. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you too.
Alternative transportation. Proven fast relief from traffic jams, road closures, and road rage. Not taking alternative transportation could produce side effects that include drowsiness, extreme irritability, increased sweating, bouts of rage, headaches, slurred speech, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, swelling hands and feet. Ask your doctor if alternative transportation is right for you. Chances are, the answer's yes.
Promoting physical activity is a public health priority for the City of Orlando, and our parks make it easy and affordable for residents to get up and to get moving. So this new fitness facility that we're gonna cut the ribbon on today is one of a number of fitness pods that we have opened in various parks, and it brings the number of them to 12. And that's a lot of opportunities to get fit.
And now, another BFF moment.
Best friends forever?
It's best foot forward for pedestrian safety. Did you know you must stop for a pedestrian in a crosswalk and stay stopped until they're in the opposite half of the road or on a raised median? It's the law. Stop for PEDs, or it could cost you $164 and 3 points on your license. It could cost them their life. Join the movement. Put your best foot forward for pedestrian safety. I yield for PEDs. Do you?
Visibility while driving at night can be challenging for drivers, and their failure to see pedestrians is often fatal. In Florida, 75% of pedestrian fatalities occur at night. Many drivers say they never saw the pedestrian. What will it take to see them? Can you see him now? Drivers, look for pedestrians, especially at night. Pedestrians, make sure you are visible. Alert tonight, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident.
Here at Gilbert McQueen Park to cut the ribbon on this beautiful new playground that looks so fantastic. The kids have already been enjoying it, and today is the last day of Blast History Month, so it's an opportunity to remember Gilbert McQueen, for who this park is named for. Private Gilbert Demopoulos McQueen was killed in action in the Korean War on June the 3rd, 1951. He was a member of the 24th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division of the Army, and this park honors his name and his legacy, and we want to remember what he gave to this community.
Our shared dream is to be a place that celebrates rich history, where learning, laughter, and entertainment come together. A destination where memories and new friends are made. A destination where local flavor and eclectic cuisine meet, and where culture and community connect. Ideas are created and reimagined. We are rising, bigger and bolder. We invite you to discover your urban in downtown Orlando.
Grease Fighter here. Oh, look at all that grease inside that pipe. You can keep out of that pipe by keeping the peace and recycling your grease.
I'm very proud because before I started this job right here, I was homeless. I used to sleep under the bridge, and most of the streets that I'm cleaning up now, that's the streets that I used to sleep on. I'm thankful that they gave me opportunity. You know, it's changed my life tremendously. Like I said, I was homeless. You know, now I'm in the process of looking for a house to buy. Through this program, you know, I came over my addiction. Man, I'm so thankful. You know, I thank the staff at Good Sauce for giving me the opportunity, man. They helped me out tremendously. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Good Sauce staff and the city of Orlando. The most rewarding part of this job is getting up every day and trying to keep Orlando beautiful. You know, doing my part and making sure the community and the residents are happy with their areas are getting cleaned up, the streets are getting cleaned up.
All right, welcome to the July 23rd, 2018 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation, led today by one of our own, Rayshawn Brown. Rayshawn is the lead student advocate for the Paramore Kids Zone, and he was the former director of My Brother's Keeper. Rayshawn was born and raised in Paramore, and is alumni of the Paramore Kids Zone. He graduated from Jones High School in 2010, received a scholarship to play football at Graceland University in Iowa. He's a double major in business finance and management and mass communications. We're very proud of him. He played professional football in the CFL, Canadian Football League. He moved back to the U.S. and took on the role of directing My Brother's Keeper here in Orlando. He transitioned to the role of lead student advocate in the Paramore Kids Zone program, and he's also finishing up his master's degree in finance management at the University of Chicago. After the invocation, Commissioner Ings will lead us in the pledge. You may stand or remain seated. Rayshawn.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together today. Leadership is hard to define. Lord, let us be the ones to define it with justice. Leadership is like a handful of water. Lord, let us be the people to share it with those who thirst. Leadership is not about watching and correcting. Lord, let us remember it is about listening and connecting. Leadership is not about telling people what to do. Lord, let us find out what people want. Leadership is less about the love of power and more about the power of love. Lord, let us continue to undertake the role of leadership. Let us stand firm by the servant leadership we witness in your Son, Jesus. As we walk in his path, he has set us and let those who will follow. Let our greatest passion be compassion, our greatest strength love, our greatest victory the reward of peace. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rayshawn. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Ings.
Here.
Mayor Dyer.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The first item of business that we will attend to is the consideration of minutes from the workshop agenda review city council meetings of July 9th, 2018. Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? So the motion carries. We have no presentations today, so we will move into the mayor's update. First, I know there's probably a few people that it's the first time they've been in city council chambers, so just want to apologize up front. This is not our normal city council chambers. We generally have a more spacious council chambers on two, but we have been renovating our building to make it more sustainable, and we've been going floor by floor, and right now the second floor is under renovation, so we are temporarily in here, and we've tried not to have some of the major issues that bring a lot of people to council during the course of the several months that we've been here, but I know there are a lot of people here today who are excited about the Trust Act resolution that we are doing, so we are pleased to have you here. Also, are there any students here today? Students that are assigned to be here, well, that are here because they're getting class credit. Okay, I know it's summer, but I'll go ahead. Are there students here today? Okay, stand up and be recognized. Thank you. Okay, I just have a couple things, very important one. I would like to take a moment to remember one of our community's most generous philanthropists, and that is Harriet Lake. She passed away earlier this month, and she had such great style, flair, tenacity, and supported so many worthy causes. She was especially passionate about the arts and donated to so many of our different cultural organizations. The ballet was certainly one of her favorites, the Dr. Phillips Center, the Shakespeare Theater. She was a wonderful friend to me and so many in Central Florida. She will certainly be missed, but she left a lasting legacy and helped make our community a better place to live. So we could have a moment of silence in her honor, please. Thank you, and bless you, Harriet. Rest in peace. Coming up on August the 7th will be the State of the City Address, and that will be at 10:30 across the street in the DeBoss Family Room at the Dr. Phillips Center. Another reason we generally do State of the City in council chambers, but that is not going to be available, so we will be across the street, and I will report on the progress we've made and celebrate many of the people, places, and things that make Orlando great. If you can't make it there in person and would like to see it, it'll be streaming live at cityoforlando.net. The couple things on the agenda. B5 relates to Grand Avenue, and we remain committed to investing in our neighborhoods. That agenda item will help us further the efforts to preserve a historic landmark and repurpose Grand Avenue Elementary School into a recreation center. The project will help us expand our youth services in Holden Heights. It will also include, Commissioner Sheehan, as you know, the Patio Studio, which is a fantastic program, and some of the other things that are right now in our downtown rec center. If you want to learn more about that, we're going to have a community meeting on Thursday, August 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Holden Heights Community Center. The other one that I would like to mention is our housing plan, and there's our annual action plan where we show how we're going to invest our housing dollars that we receive from the federal government, and that is certainly one of our top priorities, to make sure that we have the appropriate affordable housing. We're behind the curve, but we're striving to make sure that every resident, regardless of economic status, has access to quality housing. And one fantastic example, and I always forget whether it's in District 5 or District 6 because I think it's right on the line, but that is the recent rehabilitation of the New Horizons apartment homes that Bishop Wiggins, the Hope Church in the Village of Orlando, is doing in conjunction with the City and OUC, which is not only renovating a vacant 58-unit complex, but is making it a showcase for affordable, sustainable, and supportive housing, and it fits right in with our Greenworks Orlando initiative. It's going to have a rooftop solar array, on-site community garden, and Florida landscaping.
That is 5.
That's District 5, okay. And then lastly, before we go on to the consent agenda, I want to mention that 2 items that were on the consent agenda relating to the Trust Act policy, A1 and K1, are now on new business, so it gives members of the public the opportunity to comment and testify related to that, and I'm going to reserve my comments until we get to new business related to that. With that, we're going to move to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. We give each of the council members an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and update you on important issues that are occurring in their district. We rotate the order that we do that, and today, first up is Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor, I'd like to also express my condolences on the loss of Harriet Lake. Did you know she was a Marine? She was a Marine.
I did know that.
You
yes.
did know that, yeah. Harriet was also a Marine, and she was stationed in Southern California, and she served as a payroll sergeant, and she became a Marine in 1943. But she's certainly going to be missed. Harriet died at 96 years old. Her husband had passed away in 2010. And Harriet passed away July 10th of this year. And so she's obviously a great philanthropist, and she had the Harriet's Charitable Trust, and the Sentinel, Orlando Sentinel, named her the Central Floridian of the Year, and she donated about $1.5 million each year to various causes and art groups. So we're certainly going to miss her and her open heart to help and promote community throughout the Orlando, Central Florida area. I'd also like to express condolences to the loss of Lee McElroy, who worked for many years at the scores table for the Magic Games. Lee passed away, and he and his family are here in Orlando. But we're going to sorely miss him as well. And then on Thursday, July 12th, I hosted at the Orlando City Council chambers a group of University Taiwanese students from Miami. Betty Hiso, Senior Officer of Overseas and Compatriots Affairs Council was the coordinator of this visit. Also, Commissioner Joe and Lily Wang accompanied the students. Commissioner Wang is with the Overseas Community Affairs Council, Republic of China, Taiwan. While we were here, we held a quick mock council, city council meeting with the students here in the council chambers, and they also asked questions concerning District 6. But I would like to personally thank Gwen Wiggins and Carmen Feliciano of our Human Relations Office for providing gift items for the students, and they were very well received. And then also on Friday, July 13th, I attended the retirement luncheon for Chief Cornita A. Riley of the Orange County Corrections Department. She served more than 35 years in corrections, and this event was held at Carrabba's Italian Grill there off of International Drive. And I also proclaimed Chief Cornita A. Riley Day in the city of Orlando. And then on Saturday, July 14th, I co-sponsored and attended the annual Unity Day event. The coordinator was Audrey Wilson, and this was with Ball's Temple Church there on Bruton Boulevard. And it was held at the Dr. James R. Smith Center here in Orlando. And on Tuesday, July 17th, I attended the Taiwan Medical Marvels press conference and product launch event with David Chen, the Director General of Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Miami. Dr. Antonia Novella was the first female and first Hispanic former U.S. Surgeon General, was the moderator. Alejandro Pizzini, CEO of AMP Group, I Drive NASCAR, and Orlando Crossings was the MC. The event was held at the Orange County Convention Center, and the presenters were from Taiwan. Caduceus MR glasses that simplify surgical planning and navigation during medical procedures, and these are glasses that produce 3D efforts where a doctor can look directly inside of a cavity, a body, and really don't have to rely on looking at a monitor to see where to actually start any incision or place a needle. Dr. Min Lang Wang, CEO of Taiwan Main Orthopedics Company, was there to make this presentation. And also James Lee, Vice President of Business Development, AMCAD Biomed Corporation, where they redefine ultrasound imaging applications, and this is where you get to view the thyroid and to detect cancer without having to probe with a needle, and that's pretty astounding. And then Gustavo Kao, Manager of Latin America Department, Apex Medical Corporation, Care for Healthy Life, Apex Wound Management and Respiratory Therapy. They have invented a bed that actually rotates so that nurses don't have to turn patients, but the bed automatically does this for them. And then on the agenda item B5, as I stated earlier, today the prior dollar score for this procurement seems to be punitive in nature, but it was explained to me by David Billingsley and also Byron Brooks and Kevin Edmonds, CAO and Deputy CAO. So I got a good understanding of what that really meant, but it just appears to be punitive when the company is given a 0 score. But at the same time, the committee did an excellent job in really putting together the 1, 2, 3 companies, with Gilbane Building Company being the #1, and the #2 was McCree Design Builders Incorporated, and #3 was Wharton Smith Incorporated. All had very good MWBE participation. Wharton Smith really had over 80% of MWBE participation, and that was huge for this particular project. But I am looking forward to the community meeting, because the community definitely need to provide their input into the design and also concerns that they might have for this center in Grand Avenue. I'd like for us to maintain green space at Grand Avenue Park for community events, functions, and celebrations. It's important that we do that because the whole community really comes together for all of their events. And specifically, one of the main things that I have is a Christmas celebration for the kids where we give away bicycles, toys, other events, and we also feed the children. But it would be nice and beneficial to include a component of black education, i.e. Knapp Ford Community Charter School, to be located in the Grand Avenue School building. Our children need all the help and assistance to improve upon their educational status, grades, self-esteem, and character. And I know it would be a good fit even with family parks and recreation there. The next item on the agenda that I want to speak on is item F1, and this is approving the city's 2018 action plan for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Housing and Community Development Programs, and authorization to execute the 2018 HUD agreements. One of my concerns is Richmond Heights Homeowners Association have been really trying to get a playground park there at Prince Hall Park, complete with benches, tables, and other amenities for the youth to play on. And they've been trying for 3 to 4 years to get funding to do this. This particular action plan has kind of overlooked them for the last couple years or so. And so it really hurts that we don't have an opportunity to help out the residents there at Richmond Heights Homeowners Association. So we'll continue to work on that particular issue and do all that we can to make sure all of our communities are being supported and represented with good recreational activities. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Move to District 1, Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I comment on the agenda item, I want to send a quick thank you to Lori Brooks, our folks, Citizens on Patrol, as well as OPD volunteers. We did a shred event on Saturday where people brought old documents to be shredded up, but it was a good community event. The purpose was to engage the community and generate some interest for the upcoming National Night Out, which is October 2nd. So thanks to all of them for a good event on Saturday. On the agenda, one item I declared earlier, I have a conflict on C1, which is the Municipal Planning Board minutes for District 3. I have a business associate involved in that. I am not, but because of that, I will not vote, and I filed the paperwork. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Move to District 2, Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to express my condolences to the family of Harriet Lake. Just came to realize she was a Marine for 75 years. I was a long-lasting Marine there, for those who understand what that means. Anyhow, I believe a community is not just a group of people living in a determined area, but people interacting with each other, helping each other through good and bad times, getting involved with issues that affect them, watching out for each other, and prospering together. So on Tuesday, July 17, my team and I gathered with our District 2 constituents to discuss the future of transportation on the Summerlin Boulevard corridor. I want to give special thanks to Pastor Green and Pastor Borges of Prince of Peace Lutheran Church for hosting us. City of Orlando Transportation Team, F.J. Flynn and Claudia Korokoff. Link's Senior Planner and Project Manager, Mr. Miles O'Keefe, and Kittleson and Associates Team, Jane Lim Yap, Jorge Barrios, and J.P. Wessner. On Wednesday, July the 18th, we continue with our community outreach in Hibiscus and handed out pamphlets on code enforcement, so people are aware of code enforcement violations and how to address them. Information about our Spanish Government Academy, which is about to start on August 14th. We just finished the one in English, so we're going to start another one in Spanish. Invitations for our District 2 National Night Out kickoff, which is going to be August 7th, and I hope all of you are there, and as well as our District 2 newsletter. On Thursday, we are having our bi-monthly Neighborhood Leaders Council meeting. Delegates from the City Advisory Board will be joining us to explain to our leaders the importance of being on a city board, its main purpose, and explaining the process of how to become a member. I want to thank Denise Aldrich for coordinating, and to have Ms. Christina Redmond speaking with our leaders. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 3. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me also express my condolences to the Harriet Lakes family. We all know these community leaders differently. I know Harriet through her leadership on Edgewater High School's PTSA when my mother was president 50 years ago. And I know her through her daughter, who was a classmate of mine. So besides all that, she's a wonderful lady, a wonderful asset to our community that will be sorely missed. But she was just a neat lady outside of that. Let me mention a couple other things, and I've got an item on the consent agenda I'd like to discuss. Some of y'all remember the movie Long Time Coming that was done by Ted Haddock about the baseball game that occurred here in Tinkerfield in 1955. This Wednesday, Ted will be providing, doing a showing of that particular movie at the Library of Congress. We'll be doing a special showing there as part of the history retelling of that particular event. So congratulations to Ted and to Strong Films. Let me also mention a couple of things coming up on events between now and our next meeting. One of my favorite events of the year is the Recreation End of Summer Showcase. So we've always thrown the gauntlet down to see which community center will be best. So outside of everybody competing for second, I appreciate you guys having a good time over there with Inglewood. But we're going to have a great time. It's a chance for us to showcase our kids and the work that they do during the course of the year, and provides an opportunity for them to be active and engaged in almost every level at our community center. So I'm really excited about attending that. And the next day, Friday, July 27th, from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, the Manila Museum will host their summer block party called the Potty, P-A-W-T-Y, for dogs. It's sponsored by Pink Floyd, and they'll be in the self-sculpture garden, activities for dogs and other human companions. So get a chance to come along. Then Saturday, between 5 and 9, will be the first of joint event between College Park Main Street and College Park Neighborhood Association, our Sip and Stroll along Edgewater Drive. Get a chance to come. It costs $20. You can check any of those two websites, and it's a fundraiser for them. We're excited about that. And then next week, August 2nd, Audubon K8 will now open, Audubon Park K8, and they're going to have an open house from 3 to 5 next week on August 2nd, where you can get a chance to tour and look at the new school. And then, of course, we want you to join the police department and the fire department and all those involved in public safety on August 2nd at 5:30, from 5:30 to 8:30 for our District 3 annual Safety Splash. It's going to be a great event over at the College Park Community Center, centrally located in District 3. We'll have patrol officers there. We'll have the mobile kitchen from OPD that will be there, hamburgers, hot dogs, plenty of resources for our community. So get a chance to come there. On the agenda today, Mayor, I've had a chance to try to review some of the information on item number 8 of C1, and I'd like to ask if we can defer that particular item until our next meeting. It's a 2-week delay, but there's some additional research I'd like to kind of do on that and to talk to some additional constituents. There have been some concerns that were raised, and I'd like to kind of, if we can, just defer that for the next 2 weeks, if that's okay.
Commissioner, if there's no objection, I'll let you do that, but I will say that it's more appropriate to bring that up at agenda review than it is at the meeting once we've gone through that.
It took me a while to get the city attorney to get an answer. So.
Okay, you good with that, Kyle?
I already chastised him about not bringing it up earlier this year.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, so, but if there's no objection from any other member of council, we'll defer that item.
Which item?
And that's it, Mayor.
It's some
on 612
some
Sheridan.
lots and Commissioner.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. On 612 Sheridan. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll move to District 4, Commissioner Sheehan.
Well, I'd also like to do a tribute to Harriet. Her goal was to give away all of her money before she died, and that's the mark of a true philanthropist. And every time you'd see Harriet, she said this to everybody. She'd say, "Hello, gorgeous." So we say, "Goodbye, gorgeous," and you will be missed. And she actually gave money to, I think, every arts organization in town. And Shelley and Michael, our prayers are with you in this very difficult time. And cancer's a terrible thief, but you know, Harriet kept saying she was ready to go, but that was just an absolute life well lived. On the agenda today on Public Works, I'd like to thank the Public Works staff, the Milk District. You are getting curb and gutter. I didn't think it was going to be possible, but wow, it's going to be great for the Milk District because it's a lot of, oddly enough, that didn't used to be considered an urban area. That was considered a rural area because that was considered outside the city. So now the Milk District is in the city, and now they're finally getting these upgrades that they desperately need, and I want to thank the Public Works for making sure that happens, the Public Works Department. And that's all I had, Mayor. All my activities are on my Facebook page or on my website. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And District 5, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I also would like to extend my deepest sympathies and condolences to the Lakes family. I've only met Gorgeous once or twice, but when I did, she was very engaging, compassionate, but what I remembered most was her humility. You know, to have such wealth, but to be so humble was, to me, very impressive. And by her philanthropy, her legacy will live on in perpetuity. So she will not be forgotten, and I like to, as the mayor says, rest in heaven. On July 10th, I attended the Paramore Community Engagement Council meeting at the UCF Center for Emerging Media to collaborate with invested members of the community on how we can continue our work towards a greater downtown Paramore. Also, once again, I'd like to congratulate my past executive aide, Tanika Bango, on her new role as the Director of Community Engagement for the Valencia College Paramore, as we work together for a successful community. On July 11th, I'm proud to say that our youth from the Paramore Kids Zone aired on Steve Harvey for the Black Bee Honey Team. They began their entrepreneur endeavors selling honey at the Paramore Farmers Market, and they made our city proud with that showing. They were very articulate, they knew their product, and they gave a great pitch. And with that, Steve Harvey decided that he wanted to invest in Black Bee Honey, and he took our product national. And now you can find it on a national gourmet site, which is gourmet.com. So I do believe that the community should have at least one jar in their pantry. So go today to gourmet.com to support the Black Bee Honey entrepreneurs, in which those funds go right back into that program to continue to create youth entrepreneurs there in Paramore. And thank you, Mayor, for your leadership and support in that endeavor. And Lisa and Brenda and the Paramore team and Reginald Barrows. I'm very proud of the work that you all are doing. Thursday, July 12th, I hosted a District 5 community engagement discussion luncheon there at the downtown Marriott that recently opened in November, and I'd like to thank the team there at Marriott for their in-kind donations for their space. We invited guests that were community leaders, community stakeholders, those that were vested and concerned constituents in the community interested in the advancement of Paramore and the surrounding area. The speakers riveted the audience, and they gave useful and valuable information to take back to their nonprofits and different agencies in the community to apply the skills and information shared during those presentations. So we will be reconvening with the community with some of the strategy that we came up with there in that room there after our back to school event in August. So with that being said, August the 4th, I will be hosting my annual District 5 back to school celebration there at the Callahan Community Center, where we'll be providing tools needed for quality education as we try to help the future leaders there in District 5 with educational resources, health and wellness, information, of course, entertainment. We have community stakeholders that are vested, Orlando City Soccer, Orlando Magic, the Lee Wesley Group, the A1 Orange. They will be making sure that all of our youth, which is very important, it might seem simple, but I think it's major, as undergarments to go back to school with. Those are some of the most expensive items if you're raising a kid, I think you would find out. So they're offsetting the cost with that. Just thankful for those that are being involved. Also, as Commissioner Inks and the Mayor mentioned, BK is now going in to make this Grand Avenue School a community hub, and my Paramore Kids Zone will be transferring there. And I look forward to being engaged in that process, because it does fall in District 6, but there's multiple families there in Paramore that will be utilizing those services. So I look forward to the community engagement so that they can have a voice in what we're implementing there at that building. I'm glad to report, I know it's been a concern to many of the constituents here in the city that possibly attended a Grand Avenue at some point in their lives, they had children, or just really care about some of the Black historic landmarks disappearing there in the Paramore area. As I asked earlier about plans for the exterior, I'm glad to report that that facade will not be disappearing, that it will continue to have that historic piece on the outside. They will be working there in the interior piece of that. And lastly, as the mayor mentioned, I love to congratulate the housing department on their 2018 housing action plan, which the mayor, with the support of the mayor and the council, our major focus has been housing, whether it was housing the homeless, supportive housing, transitional housing, affordable housing. Over the majority of the $8 million that will be allocated this 2018-2019 cycle will be going towards housing, which is not just much needed. The mayor said we're behind the 8 ball, but Mayor, I would like to think that we are one of the most progressive cities when it comes to the housing initiative that we have for housing the homeless, and making sure that we're increasing our affordable and workforce housing stock here in Central Florida. I think we are truly leading the way, and when I go around the nation and they talk about affordable housing, I'm proud to know about the funds that we're investing in this community. So with that stated, I will vote to move the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan on the consent agenda. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. All right, that brings us, let's go to the Neighborhood Improvement District Board of Directors meeting. We'll recess the City Council meeting without objection. We'll convene the NID Board of Directors meeting. We have one item, which is approving the proposed district millage rate of 1.0000, which we also have already done on the consent agenda, along with the city's millage rate and the DDB millage rate. So is there a motion to adopt the proposed millage rate?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. There's no further business to come before the Neighborhood Improvement District, so we will adjourn that meeting and we will reconvene the City Council meeting, and that will bring us to the items that I think most of the people here in the audience are here for. So now on new business will be 2 items, and we're going to take testimony related to both items at the same time. So the first item is A1 off of the consent agenda, and that is section 100.3 in our policies and procedures of the City of Orlando, and that's for the Fair Treatment to All, or Trust Act policy. And then secondly, we are also adopting a resolution relating to the same, which will be our Trust Act resolution. And I just want to say that it's been a pleasure to work with the Trust Coalition throughout the course of this. I think we're one of the first cities in the southeast United States to adopt a policy of this type, and we're never afraid to be the point of the spear, and we actually believe that we are a city that has to take the lead on a lot of the progressive issues, whether it was the domestic partner registry or so many other things that I've had mayors call me and ask me for what we did and thank us for giving them cover to do what they needed to do as well. So where Orlando leads, a lot of other cities follow, but I'm also proud that we are also one of the most diverse and inclusive cities, and certainly one of the fastest growing cities in America, and immigrants play a large role in our growth and the heartbeat of our community. And there, over the last couple of years, I guess now, not quite 2 years, but there have been changes in our immigration policies, and I have become concerned about a lot of the confusion. It's around the country, but I'm a localist, so I focus on what we can do in our community, and there's a lot of confusion and fear among the immigrant population here in Orlando, and I believe it's important that we remain a city and a government that values diversity, and that we reaffirm our commitment to inclusiveness, and most importantly, continue to maintain and further build the trust between our police department and our residents. And that's why we're adopting this policy and this resolution today from the city side of things, the local government side of things. And I want to make clear that unfortunately, while we support these initiatives to help those that feel vulnerable in our city because of their immigration status, you have to understand that immigration is a federal issue, and there is nothing that we can do through local ordinance or resolution to prevent ICE from doing whatever it is that they're going to do. We can just not be part of that and assist them in doing what they do. The chief and I want to ensure that everybody understands that OPD is committed to working alongside our residents and to keep our community safe. We do not enforce immigration laws here in the city of Orlando. That is a federal responsibility. OPD does not and will not check immigration status during any interaction with our residents. So if you're reporting a crime, your immigration status is not going to be checked. If you are reporting domestic violence, your immigration status is not going to be checked. If you are pulled over by an OPD officer because you are speeding, your immigration status is not going to be checked. So everybody's clear on that, right? So we want to remain focused on ways that that's the echo chamber. We want to continue to be focused on ways that we can work together to overcome hate and intolerance and injustice and be the shining city that everybody says Orlando is the place where they embrace diversity, they embrace equality, they embrace fairness, and we want to shine that light so bright that it carries through to the whole country. As a further part of that commitment, I'm going to announce today the formation of a Mayor's Committee on Multicultural Affairs. It'll advise on the needs and issues of importance to our various multicultural communities, and we'll add details on the structure and staffing of the board in weeks to come. Again, I want to thank the members of the Trust Coalition for their advocacy and working together with the city. And just as importantly, I want to recognize Commissioner Ortiz for his leadership. I'm not sure we would have gotten here today without Commissioner Ortiz's leadership. And before I open it up for public testimony, I'd like to give Commissioner Ortiz an opportunity to give a few remarks.
Well, I have a whole speech written here, but I don't know, Mayor, you have covered a lot of that.
Let me say one thing just so you can collect your thoughts. Okay, I have about 12 appearance request cards. If there's anybody inside chambers that is going to want to speak, come fill out one of these and turn it in. And if you are outside, you're going to be able to come inside and speak, and I'm going to call them, but the clerk's desk that is outside has these, and we need to have these turned in and brought inside so that we'll know to call on you if you're outside and want to speak. All right, Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your support. I got to say, and before I go any further, there's a number of people I want to thank for their help, and I want to start with the coalition, Orlando Coalition. You guys have done a great job. Thank you so much. But I would be remiss if I did not thank Ms. Jody Litchford and Mr. Austin Moore. Jody, where is she, Jody? Is she here? She has been a champion, so I want to thank her. Mayor Bodie Dyer and commissioners, you guys, your support is incredible. And this is what I got to say. The success of our region is not mainly based on our economic development or advancement in technology. The success of our region is caused by the utilization of our greatest assets. And a good friend of mine, Mr. Lynn Hill, he would say that is our people. The interaction, partnerships, associations, inclusiveness, in summary, the synergy drawn from communicating and collaborating, that's what makes our region so attractive and important. I'm very proud of our Central Florida region because we do concentrate on the needs of the people instead of political or individual agendas. We have achieved great milestones when dealing with issues involving sustainability, simulation, academic advancement, homelessness, and human equality. Our diversity and inclusiveness, along with our variety of attractions, venues, and industries, have made us one of the most popular regions in the world. But yet, in the subject of human equality, I feel we're still falling short from reaching a level of true humanity. Feeling afraid to call your local police when you, your children, or any member of your household have been a victim of a crime because you feel that you cannot trust your local police due to your immigration status, that's not the dream people come to the United States for. When the building you call home, the land you call yours, and the people you're surrounded with on a daily basis can be gone at any time, that's not living hoping for a bright future. That's fear. We want to reassure hardworking people of character who fall under the status of undocumented immigrants that we're not going to persecute them. We're not assuming a posture of noncompliance with the federal government or harboring anyone with a criminal record, but we should not disturb the peace of undocumented immigrants of good character. Let's be clear about the fact that we are not seeking to pass legislation to create a sanctuary city. We want a trust act to declare that undocumented immigrants who have good moral character should not live with the fear that the local police will be coming after them. We desire to open the doors to a mutual trust that will allow us to help each other while conducting a number of city government business, such as criminal investigations, economic development, civil disputes, and other issues. The immigration policies need amendments to be resolved by Congress once and for all. We can no longer live in a state of indecisiveness or ambivalence. In the meantime, let those undocumented people of good moral character live among us and who have through the years become part of our community, live in peace and with the confidence that we're not going to persecute them. And with that, Mayor, I want to make a motion to submit our, to accept this item as a trust act, but I would like to also, if I could, try to make some tiny changes. And it's on line number 3 that says the City of Orlando will equally enforce the law. I would like to change that to the City of Orlando will enforce the law equally. It's just semantics. And on line number 4, where it says, in furtherance of the U.S. Victims of Trafficking and Violence Preventive Act, the City of Orlando Police Department shall consider and sign a U visa. I would like to include shall consider and sign timely a U visa certification.
Read those two again. You're on page 1.
On page 1, line 3, it says the City of Orlando will, right now it says equally enforce the law and serve the public good. The first.
Oh, you're on the policy, not the resolution.
The policy, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then I would like to change that for the City of Orlando will enforce the law equally and serve the public good.
Okay, and what's the other?
The other one is on B, on procedure, number 4. On the second line, it says the City of Orlando Police Department shall consider and sign, I would like to add timely, a U visa certification request.
Okay, Kyle, I think we can consider
Yeah,
those
we can
for
handle
those
both
areas.
of those. And I assume you want to make conforming changes to the resolution as well?
Yeah.
Sure, please.
Okay, I think those come within the purview of the city attorney making corrections to it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
And I'll
it.
second it, Mayor.
Okay. I was just going to do those by, let's vote on it. All in favor of the motion, indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. You know, let's just start that all over.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Ortiz, I'm going to accept your motion as being toward the passage of the procedure and policy related to the Trust Act. I'll take Commissioner Sheehan's motion as a second. Included in Commissioner Ortiz's motion is the changes that the city attorney will make. I will pause there and accept a second motion on the resolution.
Second.
Motion by
moved.
Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Hill. Both of those, I will now take public testimony relating to both the policy change and the resolution. So I'll open the hearing for public testimony. Okay, I will say again, if you haven't already turned in a request to speak, it would be appropriate to do that at this time. And the council rules are, when I call your name, come to the mic, give your name and address, direct all your remarks to council, not any single member. You'll have 5 minutes to speak, and I hope that you'll adhere to that. I'll give you a friendly warning, and the clerk will when there's just a little bit of time. Maybe you can give them a warning at 30 seconds, since I don't have the time in front of me in our not so technologically equipped council chambers. All right, I probably mess up one name somewhere along the way here, but we're going to start with, we have Carlos Smith, representative, Enrique Rabairu, Ashutosh Paikaragal, Curtis Herrero, Rasha Mubarak, Wilna Destin are the first 6. Okay, Carlos, are you here?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is quite a fun little relocation here. My name is Ida Escamani. I'll be speaking on behalf of the office of Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith. He apologizes. He was present at the press conference, but did have to leave shortly thereafter. So, good afternoon, Mayor Buddy Dyer and City Council members. It is with great pride that I address you today in support of this important and necessary resolution. For the past 2 legislative sessions, Representative Smith, along with Senator Victor Torres, as well as Representative Amy Mercado and many other members of our legislative delegation, have sponsored the Florida Trust Act. Similar to this resolution, this legislation puts public safety first and reaffirms our commitment to the constitutional rights of every person to due process, regardless of race, religion, language, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Our legislation directs already limited resources away from the targeting of immigrants and towards matters of greatest concern to public safety. By doing so, we bolster the trust of public institutions and mitigate fears that engaging with or reporting crimes to local law enforcement could result in detainment, deportation, or family separation. Tangling our local and state governments with a monstrous deportation and family separation machine is a threat to the basic civil rights and safety of all people. Additionally, racial profiling, abusive arrests, family separation, and criminalization of one's existence violate our deepest values as residents of Orlando and as Americans. This resolution upholds Orlando and this nation's core values of equal treatment, compassion, and opportunity. It respects due process and equal treatment under the law for all residents and strengthens trust between our communities and law enforcement, making us all safer. This resolution builds on the work of dozens of counties and local law enforcement agencies, incredible organizations here in Central Florida and across the state that have adopted policies to limit detention orders by ICE detainers without judicial warrant, as an example of inclusion that will reflect across the state and nation. America is rooted in the idea that no matter who you are or where you come from, that in this country you can get a fair shot and equal opportunity. We know that the current political climate may have temporarily overshadowed this most basic American principle. But during these tumultuous times, It is moments like these and spaces like this that bring us hope. We know that immigrants represent a vital part of our communities, our economy, and our most basic American values. This resolution reaffirms our core principles as an inclusive community that will make us all safer. Orlando has always led the charge in cultivating dynamic, inclusive communities, and it is my hope that today it's no different. Commissioner Ortiz, thank you for leading the charge on this fight. Mayor Dyer, thank you always for your incredible leadership in times of just the most necessary resilience. And to all of you, thank you for your fearless leadership today in bringing this forward. I urge you to support this resolution and congratulate you on this momentous occasion. Thank you for your time and your public service. On a personal note, myself as a resident in the city of Orlando, as a daughter of immigrants, and as someone who fought on the front lines as a second responder in Pulse and continues that work, this is an incredible moment in making sure Orlando is a resilient city, and so I'm very grateful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ida. Hey, Ida, you had turned in a card under your own name. Are you going to speak again?
No, that was on behalf of Representative Smith, so
okay, thank
there's
you.
one off for you.
Okay. Lori? Oh, okay. Well, tell anybody that turned in a card to come in. I don't think anybody will try to run in without turning in a card. Okay, Carlos Enrique Ribaru, Ashutosh Payak, right? Close. You know who you are. Curtis Herrero, Rasha Mubarak, Wilna Destin, Anna Escamani, Ida's already spoken, Stephanie Wall, Henry Lim, who I just saw come in, Scott Lanier, Wendy Doramal, Jimmy Affont, who I just saw came in, and Christopher Cuevas. Okay. Enrique.
Yes, Enrique Ribeiro, 10609 Lake Ralph.
Speaking,
Oh,
yeah,
there
drop
you
the
go.
mic. There you go.
All right. Enrique Ribeiro, 10609 Lake Ralph Drive. Hi, Commissioners, Mayor, and the Orlando community. My name is Enrique Ribeiro, and I'm here, and I'm a member of Organized Florida's Climate Justice Committee. Organized Florida is also part of the Trust Act Coalition, and I'm here today to make you aware of the need for social equity across all of your departments. We've been working with the Sustainability Department to ensure social equity is included as part of the new GreenWorks plan. We also know that although the City of Orlando is moving in the right direction by passing the Trust Act, there are still many communities who are vulnerable and that will suffer the impacts of climate change at a disproportionate rate. Just last year, during Hurricane Irma, we also heard the stories of those families who were at risk of being targeted by ice during the storm and who were afraid to seek shelter. We also saw how some shelters were IDing people, leaving many undocumented communities at risk of not only deportation, but risking their lives because there was nowhere else to go in the storm. With climate change, the growing frequency and power of these storms will test our city's commitment to social equity and providing immigrant families with shelters where they will feel safe. I'm here today to invite you to continue the conversation on social equity, not only for GreenWorks, but also throughout all of your departments. Let's make the city of Orlando an inclusive, safe, equitable, and sustainable city. Migration is a human right, and climate justice is immigration justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ashutosh Payak Karyal. Come up here and tell me how to say it correctly, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashutosh Payak, 134 East Colonial, East Colonial Drive. So yeah, my name is Ashutosh Payak, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Florida Student Power Network. I've been a proud resident of Orlando for the last 5 years, and I currently work as a statewide organizer for the Florida Student Power Network. So first off, I would like to thank the City Commission and Mayor Buddy Dyer for taking a brave first step and passing the first Trust Act in the southeastern United States. As an organization, we have a diverse membership with people of many different backgrounds, including many that are directly impacted by this Trust Act. I'm proud to live in a city that acknowledges the humanity of all its constituents, that recognizes that, especially in this climate that is hostile towards so many marginalized groups, including immigrants, Muslim Americans, LGBTQ+ communities, women, and the list goes on, and just hardworking people that are struggling to make ends meet, that y'all are taking the lead on this. And this has definitely been a long time coming. I can definitely remember the time that, last year when Mayor Dyer first tried to say my name. It's gotten infinitely better, so shout out to you. But yeah, personally, and our state director, David, as well, we've been coming up here, and also many other members of our organization, and we've been engaged in different levels of this dialogue. We recognize that many compromises were made and that this was definitely not an easy process, but that's why we would like to convey our appreciation that we have gotten to this point. But this is only the first step. We must make sure to continue on this path of progress, and by passing the Trust Act, this is allowing us to take this fight to more than just the city of Orlando, but to the county commission, to the state level, to the national level, and so on. On behalf of my colleagues and the 1,000 plus 15 to 30-year-olds that are part of the Florida Student Power Network, we thank you and for your leadership and courage.
Thank you. Curtis Herrero, and then Rasha.
Good afternoon, Commission, Mayor, fellow Orlando residents. My name is Curtis Hierro, 231 East Colonial Drive, Orlando, Florida. I represent the Central Florida AFL-CIO. We represent thousands of workers, not only here in Orlando, but the larger metropolitan area. Today's a huge accomplishment for us to be able to go to our 70,000 workers, right? And I think about the iron workers that have undocumented members that live in the city and certainly work through the city, right? I think about one of our AT&T workers, a CWA member, who is worried about the future of his sister, who is on the verge of becoming undocumented due to Haitian TPS expiring here in the city of Orlando. I think about our hundreds of Disney workers, we're going to hear from one in a little bit, who've been fighting to carry on Haitian TPS, but there is the very real threat that will expire, right? And those folks will become undocumented. They at least know that within the city of Orlando, whether applying your craft here or living in this great community, they have a friend in this commission, right? That the city of Orlando is entrenching that we are a welcoming city, and that if you are a victim of crime, you can come forward. You will not be a target. You will not have a target on your back, right? The city of Orlando is stepping up and showing the rest of the country that we are not only a world-class city for folks to come here and ply their craft and work in our incredible service sector and our tourism industry, but we are a world-class city in our values and our ethics. So I would personally like to thank Mayor Dyer, Commissioner Tony Ortiz, the rest of the commissioners who have been in support. Today is a world-class day for all working people in the city and all residents as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Wilna Destin's after Rasha.
Hello, Rasha Mubarak, 5219 Timberview Terrace, Orlando, Florida, 32819. I sit on the board of the Muslim Women's Organization, and I would like to start off with a greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon all of you. Whew. What a year and a half for the Trust Orlando Coalition, for the city. When they say through the blood, sweat, and tears, it's been through the blood, sweat, and tears. I see Ingrid Morfa crying. This is an emotional day because it's a powerful day. When we say that we're making history, we're not just making history, We are on the right side of history. So I want to congratulate Commissioner Tony Ortiz with the late phone calls, the really intense meetings that we've had, Mayor Buddy Dyer for believing in us and letting us represent the most vulnerable, the most impacted communities. I want to congratulate the Trust Orlando Coalition, the Dreamers, I see you, Karen, the Anayelis, the Ellies. I want to congratulate all of you because what we did is we continued to persevere. We are resilient. We continue to make sure that the voices of those are most vulnerable, the impacted communities, are the ones that we are fighting for. We've seen images of children in cages. We've seen policies and executive orders being passed that are banning people from entering this country solely based on how my people worship, the Muslim community. So when we see we are the light, Orlando is the light in these dark times. I want everyone to remember this moment because it is the beginning of what we are going to see for not just the immigrant communities, but those who are directly impacted. Orlando has always been a city of diversity that's exemplified beauty. Orlando has seen adversity, but we stood shoulder to shoulder and we showed not just the country, but the world what it means to be resilient, what it means to be strong, and it was only because we were unified. So congratulations, Orlando, on sending a welcoming, unified message. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna Escamani is after Wilna.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wilna Destin, and I'm from Unite Here. I'm a member from Unite Here, Local 737, and I'm living in 6101 Bunny Brook Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32809. I'm here today to say thank you to Commissioner Buddy Dyer and Mayor Buddy Dyer and all the commissioners. My name is Wilna, and especially I've been affected by this. I'm a TPS holder from Haiti. And this week, all Haitian, a lot of people in the Haitian community, we've been impacted, and we sent our TPS from immigration, from USCIS back in January. And they got the money, they never sent the permit authorization card to a lot of us. And thanks to Unite Here, and we've been fighting, talking to a lot of people from immigration, from USCIS, and that's when they give us extension. And we have a lot of people who works at Disney, they have TPS. And this week was, you know, very hard for us. And by taking action, doing this Trust Act, and it's very good for our community. And especially like some people, women, they've been hurt, and they scared to calling police, because by calling police, you know what they're gonna ask you. First thing they're gonna ask you for your immigration status. And I'm living in the neighborhood. Example, if I see something happen, I would like to call police. I'm a very honest people. Call police, but when you call police, what they're gonna tell you? What is your immigration status? And today, by taking this action, Haitian, in behalf of the Haitian community, in behalf of all Muslim, Mexican, all the immigrant community, and we say thank you and we congratulate you, and you being always with us, being always a support for us in this community. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor Buddy Dyer and our commissioners. This is Anna Escamani, proud Orlando native, and I could not be more proud to call myself an Orlando native today. And I want to give, of course, my appreciation to members of the Trust Coalition, which I'm honored to call my members of my movement family and people who we've been in the trenches for years, and on this issue over a year and a half, pushing to ensure that Orlando is a community that truly protects all residents, no matter what your documentation status is. My twin sister, Ida, was just up here speaking on behalf of her office and that of others. You know that we are the daughter of immigrants. Our family actually came from two different parts of Iran, but they met each other and found love right here in Central Florida. Our mom passed away when we were 13 years old, and despite that type of hardship, this community wrapped its arms around us and kept us safe. And so today I stand before you with so much gratitude that we continue to pave the way as a community, one that stands with people of all backgrounds, no matter where you come from, how much money you make, or who you worship, that you can be safe in the city beautiful. And to that point, I just want to speak to the notion of what the federal government is doing now and why, again, this moment is so historic, not just as one of the leading cities to pass such a resolution in the South, but also in the context of what the federal government is doing today. And so whether it's xenophobic policies, mass deportation, and separating families at the borders, whether it's like we heard about rescinding DACA or TPS, banning Muslims from traveling, and there's so much pain that is happening across the country on issues that impact our immigrant families, and it's deeply hypocritical of the Trump administration's so-called family values to push these type of policies. And I'm so grateful that Orlando honors not just family values, but American values as well, and that's exactly what today means for us. So here's to moving our city in a more inclusive direction and being a role model for all. Around us, we have counties that are passing resolutions that are the antithesis to what we are doing today. And so let Orlando shine as a city that stands for peace and justice. And I cannot extend my gratitude more to our mayor, commissioners, Commissioner Ortiz. Know that you have an ally in the work that we do on the ground, and we want to take this to the next step further to ensure that every person in this great city feels safe going to law enforcement, and ensuring that law enforcement can also work with our communities to ensure that every person here in Central Florida can continue to call this great city home. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Stephanie Wall, then Henry Lim, and Scott Lanier.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Wall, address 521 South Osceola Avenue, 32801. I proudly represent the Florida Immigrant Coalition and the Trust Orlando Coalition. I am an immigrant from Colombia. My family and I escaped the increasingly violent conflicts from our country. We cannot rely on our government then and there, but I hope to rely on the city of Orlando here and now. Our families face death and sacrifice everything in making the journey to bring us here. Many do not survive. Some of us lose our parents and now even our children in the process. We know that neither the United States nor the city of Orlando is perfect. Our country and our city continue many battles to uplift a moral soul for this country and to legislate an opportunity for human dignity and equity. Every one of us, no matter where we were born, regardless of race, gender, religion, or sexual orientation, wake up with the calling to manifest the promises we have made to our children for their future. We are here because we believe that the city of Orlando is beautiful and it is home. And in this home, we declare that no human being is illegal. We believe that every single Orlando resident should be able to reach out and ask for help when they feel their life is in danger. And we will stand strong as a community to lend a helping hand to our neighbor, even when they don't speak our language or carry our same passport. The passage of the Trust Act ensures that the city of Orlando and its people stand on the right side of history. We are here to build trust in our Orlando community. Trust that we will love and protect one another, trust that we will listen and learn from each other, and trust that this city is made beautiful by the contributions of the people in it, and all of us are committed to set an example for the rest of the country. doing better, and standing up for your community. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Mayor Dyer, for your support in this mission, and we look forward to our continued partnership.
Thank you very much. Henry.
Good afternoon, Commission. Good afternoon, Mayor Dyer. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Henry Lim. I'm a proud citizen of the city of Orlando. So much so that I volunteer on the Citizens Police Review Board here in the city of Orlando. I've been an immigration attorney for the last 20 years. I've also served as past president of the Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida. During the year that I was president of the Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida was the year that Pulse happened. And as a result of Pulse, that it occurred on Latin night, a lot of Hispanic attorneys were needed. And our organization came forward and we provided over 40 attorneys to represent victims of Pulse. Our firm handled many of those cases, including 6 cases for U visas. And we handled all of these cases pro bono because that is our purpose for the community. I am very proud to be a citizen of Orlando today because of days like today and the Trust Act. And what I want to do is I want to explain a little bit about what a U visa looks like. There's a lot of talks about DACA, TPS, U visas, but not many people know what is involved, how long it takes, how difficult the process can be. And what this resolution before you today does is simply the first step. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because like a lot of people don't know this, but it's also other people in our community who don't know this. At the county level, at the state level, and even at the federal level. They don't know the nuts and bolts, the everyday practicality of a U visa. It is a public safety issue. And that's what it comes down to. And the resolution before you today really talks about the certification process. So I want to talk to you about what that looks like. It's a 1 page on a form, certified by a law enforcement agency. And on that form, you're certifying 2 things. You're certifying that the person has been a victim of a specific crime, not just any crime, and that that person has cooperated with law enforcement in the prosecution of that individual. That is all that's before you today as far as the U visa is concerned, is to allow the police department to be able to certify this for these individuals who have been victims and are cooperating with law enforcement. This is a crucial first step for this individual to proceed in a lengthy legal process taking around 10 years now. This is not an approval of a U visa. Only the Department of Homeland Security can do that. You're not approving any immigration status for anyone. You're only allowing and easing the burden of someone who has been the victim of specific crimes. And how does this impact us as citizens in the community? I am currently representing a 14-year-old girl who was raped. Now that individual and her family may not come forward to the authorities for fear of their immigration status. And if they don't come forward, then we can never prosecute that criminal, and that criminal remains on the streets, affecting us. That's the importance and the practicality of this. So my hope is that us here as leaders in the community and other leaders within our own community here in Orange County pay attention to what this really is and how it affects not only the people involved. I don't care if you're pro-immigrant, anti-immigrant, this is a public safety issue for us all. And I hope others get the message. And thank you very much for your leadership in this issue.
Thank you, Henry. Scott, you're up. Wendy Doramal is next.
Scott Lanier. My address is 8608 Cross Bay Drive, Orlando, Florida. Mayor Dyer, commissioners, City of Orlando, all of my friends, sisters, brothers, everyone I respect in the Trust Orlando Coalition. My name is Scott Lanier. I am president of the United Faculty of Florida at the great University of Central Florida, and I represent over 1,630 UCF faculty members. and we are proud members of the Trust Orlando Coalition. Karen, you're going to get me. I'm humbled that I should be the one to speak when it is other faculty who sacrifice so much to make things like this happen. Our faculty union members are in this room. Our faculty union members are in that rotunda. And when I put out a call to our faculty union members, can you come to this meeting? I got replies from over 100 individual faculty members who said, I'd like to be there, I'm out of town right now, I'm sorry, but I'm with you. Our faculty union's paying attention. I'm so proud that they're part of this, and I get to be part of that union. So on behalf of those 1,600 plus faculty members, thank you for bringing this to the floor. Our faculty union supports the Trust Act, and we will continue to do whatever we can to fight for what is right for our faculty, our students, our staff, and our city, Orlando. I love Orlando. We love Orlando. And this Trust Act, it just injected a whole lot more love into the city of Orlando. So today we say, trust Orlando. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy Dormal, James Font, and then Christopher Cuevas.
Good afternoon. I'm so excited to be here, and I thank you so much, Tony and Mayor Dyer and Jody and everyone who worked with us. And I thank all of the people in the Trust Coalition who I had the honor of working with over the last 18 months. I stand with you today as the wife of a former undocumented immigrant, as the mother of an immigrant child, and as a lifelong teacher who protected and advocated for every student who entered the door of my classroom. I believe where a person is born is an accident of birth, but how we welcome them and include them is a conscious choice. I'm so proud to be a resident of Orlando today. As the president of the Orange County Classroom Teachers Association, I stand with you today representing 7,500 teacher members who support every student, every family member, and every community member every day. And some of them are here in this room and outside in the rotunda. And today we have a special guest with us. We have the Vice President, Fed Ingram of the Florida Education Association, who came from Tallahassee for this historic day.
Please stand.
Thank you. We believe that every family member and every community member should be respected, that our communities and schools must be safe zones and safe havens for everyone. Our doors must remain open to every person, regardless of their immigration status, religion, language, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, or country of origin. That is why in April, the Classroom Teacher Association voted unanimously to adopt a resolution that declared our Union Hall, the Marion Cannon Center for Advocacy, as a haven and safe zone for all who entered. And that is why we have urged the school board and the beautiful city of Orlando to do the same, and we thank you. This act today will mean so much for every student and family and community member. Orlando is an exclusive and welcoming city for each and every resident. Establishing the trust policy and act will allow every Orlando resident to interact with local law enforcement, meaning that they will be safer, our community will be safer, people will be free to report a crime without fear of deportation for themselves or their families. Students who have been going to school with pictures of their moms and dads in their backpacks will feel safer and will know that when they come home from school, their mom and dad will be there for them. By allowing local law enforcement agencies to direct energy and resources to community policing and improving public safety, our city will become a safer place. Today, our city, already known as an exclusive city, has opened its arms even wider. Thank you for taking this moral step, and I hope that every city in our great country will do the same and follow your lead.
Thank you, Wendy. James Font. Jimmy.
Good afternoon. My name is James Font. I'm 69 years old, and I spent most of my life in Orlando. I came here from Puerto Rico at the age of 29, applied for a job in the county for assistant attorney, and I was asked for my green card, even though I'm from Puerto Rico. I've seen this community evolve like there's no idea. But I want to take a different route than everybody else. For many years, I was a criminal defense attorney, so if you don't know that. I remember very well one trial, the victim of that crime, in the middle of the night, sold his business at a loss because he was afraid to walk into the courthouse and testify because he knew he was undocumented. What surprised everybody was not that he was Hispanic, but that he was British. We tend to think of immigration as to only one group. And one thing my mother taught me is to educate. We are not the largest group. And one of the things I learned as a criminal defense attorney was that there's Jamaicans, there are people from Africa and other nationalities here that are also in the same boat. And they are my brothers and my sisters, and this is for them too. The other issue I would like to bring up is that I also realized that because of that day, not only did he lose his business, had to move out of the city because he was petrified of being taken away by ISIS, a rapist walked the streets of Orlando. And even though I'm a criminal defense attorney and haven't done it for about 6 years, now I only do Social Security Disability, I have the ultimate respect for the Orlando Police Department, and I know that this is needed by them as much as it's needed by us. And some of us talk about us, but these people could do a great job. Now they can talk to our people. They don't have to be afraid to talk to the police. They don't have to be concerned about talking to the police, because that police officer is not there to put them with ISIS, is there to help them. And many of them fear them, not because of any other reason, but because they think that they're going to be reported to ISIS and they're going to lose what they have worked so hard for. Some of you know me in this board, some of you don't. You know me for 40 years of working for this community. I am so proud to be part of Orlando. Sorry. I'm so proud to be a member of this community, and I propose that instead of the city beautiful, we call this the city of harmony. Thank you.
Okay, I have one last appearance request, so if there's anybody that still wants to speak that hasn't turned in a card, now would be a good time to do it. Christopher Cuevas.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Cuevas. My address is 521 South Osceola Avenue, 32801 here in Orlando. And I am a second-generation immigrant, born of undocumented immigrants from Mexico. My parents came to the United States for opportunity, for prosperity. They came to realize what we call the American dream. And for many years, we lived in fear of separation. We lived in fear that they would be sent back to a place that is no longer home. We lived in fear that we would lose our loved ones. We lived in fear that we would be alone in this country. And eventually, my parents were given an opportunity to be US citizens. But so unfortunately, that opportunity does not come for so many in our community. And so, by introducing something as historic as the Trust Act, we are taking steps toward creating safety and building support and trust in our communities. And I am so humbled to be standing before incredible leaders in our community that are working to advocate for that. I want to sincerely thank all of the members of the Trust Orlando Coalition and all of the members of the City Commission and our wonderful Mayor, Buddy Dyer, for your leadership, for your transformation, and for your courage. For too long, our immigrant and refugee communities have had to live in the shadows of society. And through this courageous work, we are casting a light and bringing countless people into a place of hope, into a place of prosperity, into a place of opportunity. This moment is something that we should allow ourselves to wash over and to hold so deeply, because we are creating history. We're building a bridge to freedom. We are creating a path toward justice, and I sincerely want to thank you all. This is so deeply personal and so incredible. For the last year, we've had the privilege and honor of working with you all, and we continue to be in joy and in awe of the friendship and the trust that we've built with you, and are so proud to continue our relationship. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Please, and if there's anybody else, last call.
Hello. I wasn't going to speak at first, but I had to change of heart. My name's Karen Caudillo. I'm an incoming senior at UCF. And just this past year, I thought about taking so many extra classes to try to graduate before my DACA expiration date in October. And I'm still numb. I'm still in shock. I live in Winter Park. I love my community. I've grown up in Florida since the age of 4. I'm a DACA recipient, and I have no words to express the gratitude of just knowing that I can go to the grocery store, I can go to school, I can go to the doctor, and I won't be afraid of having an interaction with a police officer, being scared of being sent back to a country that I've never been to. But I want to say thank you for this, you know. Sorry. You know, there's so many people that I've met around town that really live in fear. I'm more public about being undocumented. Well, I'm not documented, but as being a DACA recipient, being an immigrant. But this is really going to help keep families together, and all I can say is thank you so much. There's an estimated up to 400 DACA recipients at UCF, and we all live in fear of not graduating because we could be deported. So just knowing that we can go around the city of Orlando and not feel persecuted is really a very large burden taken off of me, a part of being a full-time student. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I've never been more proud of living in Orlando and being an Orlando resident. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge that Immigration Judge Rafael Ortiz is with us today. Where are you, Judge? Thank you for being here. Would you like to say anything? You don't have to. I'm just... Come on up. And hey, Chief, I haven't given you any alert either, but I'd like you to close out.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mayor Dyer. Good afternoon, every one of you commissioners. I don't have the pleasure of meeting you personally, but I hope perhaps from today on I will. I want to thank all of you for allowing me to be here. I retired as a federal immigration judge after 33 years of federal government service in December 31st of 2017, and since then, I have now joined the law office of Henry Lim as of counsel, and I am proud to be with him because he has been my friend for many years. I want you to know that I have been living in Orlando for 21 years. When I opened the court back in 1997, nobody knows about these things because we federal judges, of course, are hidden in these federal courts and nobody knows what we do or where we are. But I had the privilege and the honor of opening the court here in Orlando. There are now 7 judges, and throughout that time, I have adjudicated thousands and thousands of cases involving the plights of immigrants who all came to this country for the same reason that we all have heard many times here before, to secure the American dream. These are humans from everywhere in the world who come to this country because of our wonderful Constitution. Today, Orlando is proving that it is not only beautiful in physical aspects, but it is also beautiful in spirit. Congratulations for the passage of this wonderful document that will assure that these immigrants are treated as human beings and nothing more. It's been a pleasure to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. I wanted to call the Chief up because we've had an anti-bias policing policy for at least since I've known, and the Chief has been a big part of that and implementing that and has been fully on board as we've developed this Trust Act. And I just wanted to make sure you've heard it from me, you've heard it from Commissioner Ortiz, you've heard it from this public testimony, but it'd also be strong to have the Chief reiterate.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Mayor, and thank you, and thank you to the commissioners. Thank you to Commissioner Ortiz and everyone at a part of this. Yeah, so that's first. I want to say this: my dad immigrated here from Palestine, so you're looking at the son of an immigrant, and I grew up hearing stories about how him and his family were kicked out of their house because of their immigration status in the Middle East. So, in this past year and a half, in telling some of the stories. I heard some familiar themes, and so as the first, pretty sure I'm the first Arab American police chief in the city of Orlando, I can assure
Chief,
you.
I didn't even know you were Arab.
I look more like my mom. They make me work out. So I can assure you that the Orlando Police Department does not detain, stop, arrest people based solely upon their immigration status. And as the mayor stated, we've had a fair and impartial policing policy in place for many, many years, and one of the pieces in that policy says that we will not stop or detain and question people based solely on their immigration status, and that is a practice that we have had in place for many years. As a matter of fact, Dr. Lori Friedel, the foremost expert on fair and impartial and bias-free policing, looked at our policy several years ago and basically said it was a model policy. So happy that the city used some of that language as well, and that we have this policy in place. And so the last thing I will just say is that we want victims and witnesses to not fear the police, especially because of their immigration status, and know that we want you to come forward to report crimes. And we have been using the U-Visa program for as long as I can remember. As chief of police, I sign several of those every single month when people cooperate with us. And so again, I'd just like to assure everyone that we have been following these guidelines and this policy, the language in that policy for many, many years, but it just further strengthens our own policy, and I'm happy to answer any questions from any of the commissioners.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. We will take these up one at a time. So what we'll first take up is the acceptance of meeting minutes, and approving the changes to the policies related to Section 100.3 City Operations Committee meeting June 18th and July 16th of 2018. Is there discussion on that? Commissioner Sheehan.
Well, I'd just like to comment, more broadly as everyone else has commented. I'm going to be vague on who I talk about because I have two very close friends who are dealing with immigration issues, and if I give too much information, they fear being deported. So I'm going to have to be very vague about this. I have one friend who came to this country to marry their partner, and you have to be here a certain amount of time before you can do that. And once they found out the person was a member of the LGBTQ community, they only stamped their visa for long enough for a tourist visa, not to marry their partner. That happened to a friend of mine. I have another friend whose registration at UCF, he could not register for his courses at UCF. He almost lost his driver's license. And when I was on the street during the Pulse massacre, I was with Officer Eddie Rosado, and a young man came up to us, and he said, I have a friend who's been shot in my apartment. And I said, honey, you have to take him to the doctor, please. And he goes, we can't, he's undocumented. And I turned to Eddie and I said, Eddie, what does undocumented mean? Because I didn't know. Okay, I'm not in those circles, it's not something I deal with day in, day out. This is a couple years ago. And he explained, he says, it means they're here, he's illegal, Commissioner. And I said, Eddie, tell him in Spanish. I'll tell him in English. He has to take him to the hospital. So we had victims of the Pulse massacre here in Orlando that were afraid to go to the hospital because of their immigration status after they were a victim of a crime. That is unacceptable, and that should never, ever happen to anyone. I'm proud to say that that young man was taken to the hospital, but I'm ashamed that I can't make that promise as clearly as I could on that day 2 years ago. And that's why I forcefully and completely support this today. And it's disgusting how this country is treating immigrants. And we need to do better as a country. We need to do better as human beings. And anyone who has called my office today expressing concern about crime, I'm sure it's been somebody's telling them to call. These folks that are coming here asking for our help are more likely to be victims of crimes and criminals, and we need to help them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make my comments just short. It's sometimes easy to do the right thing, and we have a chance here to do the right thing. When I see those in our country who fight against this status, I see them a couple of generations removed, and they have forgotten why they came here and forgotten why it's important. Our country needs to be a country that provides love and kindness and brings inclusiveness. And I'm so honored, Mayor, that you've led this charge. Commissioner Ortiz, honored that you've led this charge, and I call you a friend. And I'm enthusiastically support this because it's just the right thing to do. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Now, hold on, we're not done, Okay, the second piece of this is the resolution in support of the Trust Act. So we've got we had a motion by Commissioner Ortiz, and the second, I think, was Commissioner Hill. On this particular one, all the testimony that you gave relates to this one as well. And I'll just close by saying we have a saying up on the third floor, these are the days that we live for. Yeah. And that's why we got into public service. So, and Commissioner Stewart was right. It's nice when it's really easy to do the right thing. So, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now we're done. Step back, step back, step back. Okay, it turns out that we have further business to do. So we are going to take, but we won't be too long. So if you want to step out, we have a couple ordinances and then we'll be outside. So if you guys want to take 1 minute and step out into the rotunda, we will be out shortly.
But please remember, we still have a meeting to, because you guys could kind of keep it down for us, because we do have some business we need to conduct. Thank you.
We'll be out in a second if you guys will hang out. Okay, this is kind of anticlimactic. Hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1.
Ordinance 2018-39, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to an Orange County Municipal Service Benefit Unit pursuant to Section 125.01, paren 1, paren Q, Florida statutes, consenting to the continuation of the existing Forest Pines and J.W. Burke Sub-Municipal Service Benefit Unit on land recently annexed into the City of Orlando, providing for severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, and effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, ordinances, first reading, number 1.
Ordinance 2018-33, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, deleting Chapter 30A of the Code of the City of Orlando entitled Minimum Standards Code, creating Chapter 14 of the Code of the City of Orlando entitled Property Maintenance Code to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code with general and technical amendments, conforming cross-references throughout this Code of the City of Orlando, and providing for severability, codification, correction of Scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Stewart. We had several fatal fires this year. Well, a fatal fire and 3 tragic fires. And this agenda item relates to revision of the minimum housing standards as they relate to safe living and maintenance standards. It's going to provide more clarity to fire protection. I want Mike Rhodes to give a short presentation to let the public know exactly what we're doing with this ordinance.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you. We can switch over to the slides real quick. The new Property Maintenance Code adopts a new Chapter 14. For many years, we've enforced 30A as the minimum standards code for the City of Orlando. And every time I said 30A, somebody said 38. What? Where? And so I thank Kyle Shepard for finding us Chapter 14 vacant in the City Code so that we could replace it with the Property Maintenance Code. Property Maintenance Code is based off of the ICC and Florida International Code Council and Florida Building Code family of codes. We've also got a list of amendments. That's the 51-page list of amendments that you got included in the city ordinance. Those local amendments take advantage of and incorporate a lot of our past legal experience. We've had a few federal court cases that have provided us with guidance, and so those different court cases and that legal experience are things that we want to maintain and incorporate into our new code standard in Chapter 14. And as the Mayor mentioned, it also recognizes a lot of improvements that we've made over the years in fire protection, as well as some other code sections. We've got a code comparison, and I don't think anybody wants me to go into that in great detail. Understand, generally speaking, that the process and the standards that we have that we've enforced for the last 30 years are things that by and large we're going to be bringing forward. Although it does have some clarifications and again some improvements that we're looking to make as it relates to smoke alarms, placement of smoke alarms, fire alarm interconnection, which is very important, and hopefully some redundancy as people begin to make improvements to their property over time. The existing cases that we have in the pipeline now, and at any given time we have 3,000 or 4,000 cases open, are going to be continued on with our existing code sections, and we look to have a sunrise date for our new Chapter 14 of January 1st of 2019. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I don't have a question, Mayor, just what we've talked about at agenda review, and that was in the ordinance on page 23, adding in the word tires after automobiles. That's a minor amendment.
Yes, sir.
You want to make that as a motion, Commissioner?
I move that we make tires part of this ordinance after automobiles on page 23.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second on adding tires. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. And on, let's see, we've got a main motion that was already made, so the motion has amended. Discussion. Does anyone from the public want to speak on this? Okay, now discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you.
Okay, and that, I believe, concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council. We'll have general appearances in a minute.